I remember I was going from grade 6 to grade 7, so I guess I was 12. We took a month of summer vacation, half a summer vacation, and drove from PEI down through the States to Calgary, out to BC to visit an aunt and uncle. Actually, my uncle that was in the boat with me that day, who was living in BC at the time, that I was fishing with my grandfather. And then back through Canada. And there was quite a few funny things that happened on the trip, actually. But I'll tell you about a couple of them anyway. There was this one place that we went in North Dakota. It was called Reptile Gardens. There's a couple of funny things that happened there that day. One thing was, it's kind of like a smaller version of like SeaWorld or something like that, only it was lizards and stuff. Like there was educational stuff and not so much rides, but like games and stuff that you could do with reptiles. And there was this one room that was like it was a snake walk where none of the snakes were in cages or anything. There was nothing venomous or too big, but it was just a path through an atrium, and whatever wanted to slither across the path in front of you could or would, or maybe there was one in a tree right next to you. And I remember my mom not being a huge fan of that. And there was another place where it was a tunnel with a slight decline. You walked down and it was just rattlesnakes behind plexiglass, but there was hundreds of rattlesnakes, and they were shaking their tail, and you tapping on the glass and stuff, and they're all up and hissing and spitting, and that was great fun. But there was this one thing, and I don't know if Reptile Gardens is still around or not. I don't know if this is a cool thing or not to do them, but anyway, they had this arcade type setup, and there were little boxes, and they had animals in the boxes, and they were trained to do a specific thing. And when they did their specific thing, they got a treat. So you put a quarter in, and there was, like, for instance, there was a little bunny who, I can't remember if they had a fireman's hat on him or not. They might have even had a little fireman's hat elastic on his head. But he'd jump up, and there was a fire truck there, and he'd ring a bell, and he'd do a few things, and then go right to the feeder, and he'd get a pellet. So there's all these things you put a quarter in. Anyway, one of these things is a chicken that plays tic-tac-toe. I'm thinking, this is kind of funny. I was like, yeah, I'll show you how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. I'm there with my family. I'm like, I'm going to beat a chicken at tic-tac-toe. I put the quarter in. Chicken murdered me. And I was like, okay, that's just a fluke. And of course, everybody laughed at me. That chicken beat me 3 times in a row at tic-tac-toe. I didn't even beat it once. And I was just like, man, I'm walking away because people are seeing this. Yeah. This is happening right now. Yeah. So yeah, I got beat 3 times by a chicken at X's and O's and didn't redeem myself once. So that was fun. And then we went to this kind of like the guy from Crocodile Hunter. It was an alligator show or whatever. It was kind of looked like the octagon from UFC or something. It was a big circle all fenced in with sand, and Grant stands around the whole thing, and everybody, he sat down, and this guy with the headset or whatever is doing different things with alligators. And they weren't big ones, but they were, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 feet long, pretty big. And there was this one thing he did where he flipped the alligator on his back, and he packed sand all in around its neck. And apparently when it's on its back and that happens, almost instantly it stops the blood flow to the brain or slows it down enough that they go unconscious, like dead to the world, just stop moving. Yeah. And he goes, maybe I should have set this up a little bit better. I was the kid, man, like, don't think about anything. Go, 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 go. Like my mom, I was the kid that would be in my elbows and up to my ears and something before I ever stopped to think, is this safe? Yeah. So anyway, before the words even came out of the guy, out of his mouth, he's like, I need a volunteer. My hand was up, he pointed at me. Mom had told me after the fact that I was getting into the octagon before she even realized it was me that put my hand up. So anyway, I'm thinking Mom's was probably on pins and needles. And we have the whole thing videotaped. There's a family video of this whole trip. My parents rented a video camera. We didn't have one at the time, but Dad rented one for the trip. So I have this on tape somewhere. It's kind of funny. I should dig it out, actually. Anyway, we get in there, and apparently the way that you're supposed to wake up an alligator when it's in this situation or position is all you got to do is, it sounds kind of silly, but you just run your fingers down its belly, its abdomen or whatever, and as soon as it feels that, it will just flop over and wake up. So that's what I do. He was, of course, he's making a show of it. He's like, I need you to get down there and on your hands and knees and give that alligator a big kiss on the lips. And of course, I gave him the reaction he was looking for, which was like, no, 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 and everybody laughed. And he was like, no, no, I'm just kidding. You just got to get down on one knee there. and just rub him on his belly, and he'll wake up. And so I did. I got down on one knee and I rubbed him on his belly, and he immediately flopped over. And of course, I jumped back naturally, but the guy got between me and the alligator, and it was great. And somewhere at my parents' place right now, I still have a pin from that day that he gave me that says, "I was gator bait at Reptile Gardens."